Today, Bleacher Report came out with an article titled Surprising Landing Spots for Top NBA Trade Targets. And it had five players and destinations where they could go. And I'm going to break down my thoughts on these players going to these destinations and if it makes sense for either side. The first move this article mentioned was Jimmy Butler going from the Miami Heat to the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks would then move off of players like Dyson Daniels, Coby Buchanan, Onyeka Okongwu, and a first-round draft pick. Three of those four assets, or even all four of those assets, will be going to the Miami Heat in this deal. For the Heat, it's a great move. Pat Riley is notorious for being a great GM, a great president, because he knows when to move off players before they're past their prime, right? He let Dwayne Wade walk because he was aging out. He didn't see the need to pay him 20 mil, and obviously it made sense. He got to Chicago, didn't go well. He doesn't want to re-sign Jimmy Butler because he doesn't think Butler's going to progress the way that he wants him to. He's getting a little bit older. He's going to take a step back, and he just doesn't see the need to keep Jimmy Butler there. On top of that, there's no need to keep Butler for this year because last year wasn't anything special. They were an 8 seed, a first round exit. There's nothing to build off of. They didn't add anything to help elevate this team this offseason. So there's no need for Butler to be there. You might as well try and get some value for him while you can. So it makes sense for the Heat to do. Atlanta, Jimmy Butler there, him playing on Atlanta, I want to say I like because he brings this intensity. He brings the ability to get bucket hard inside. He is a veteran leader. He can help the defense zone in, lock in, right? He might not be able to defend like an all pro defender, right? But he can help this defense really grow well together. He has a playoff experience. I just don't see the mesh between him and Trae Young. I really don't. I think that Trae Young and Jimmy Butler have different mindsets of the game. They both care about the game really, really much. They want to win, right? That's very evident. No one doesn't want to win. I just don't think the Butler Young dynamic will just work right. I don't see why Atlanta would make this move in terms of the dynamic between Young and Butler. And those are good assets they have. They can move that for a player that fits the role of Trae Young in this offense a little bit better. He can attack and get a hard bucket inside. He can bring in intensity. I just don't see that dynamic between Young and Butler working in just the way they approach the game. So all in all, I like the move for the Heat. I think the move would work on 2K, honestly. If Jimmy Butler went to Atlanta, I think it would work in 2K. But in the reality of the situation, the where he's at in his game, the play style of Trae Young, and the dynamic between the two, I just don't see it fitting. The second move that they mentioned was Dorian Finney-Smith to the Memphis Grizzlies. The Nets receive a couple second round picks, maybe a younger player, and then the Grizzlies would get Dorian Finney-Smith. Again, I agree with this move for the Grizzlies a lot. You can never have too many three-point shooters. So by adding Dorian Finney-Smith, they just have another player that can get a three for you. For the Nets, I want to see they can get more value, and they might. And if that's the case, hold on to him. But he's been in the trade rumors for it feels like 2 years now. And at some point, you just have to move off of him. And if it's 2 second-round picks and a younger player, make the move, right? If you want to hold on to him for a contender to come around, maybe trading a first. Maybe it's Milwaukee trading you a first-round draft pick. Make the move. At some point, the Nets have to make the move and just get off Dorian Finney-Smith if they want to get any value from him. If they want to keep him, great. But again, I see the fit for both sides. The third move was Brandon Ingram to the Golden State Warriors. In this exchange, they suggested that the Warriors would move off of Moses Moody, a first-round draft pick, Kayvon Looney, and Andrew Wiggins. The idea behind this move is that the Warriors can bring in somebody that's younger, can add some production, and you can complement him somehow with Steph Curry. Personally, I don't see a fit. I don't know how Ingram would fit in with Draymond Green or Steph. He isn't somebody that can shoot the three well. In my opinion, he's worse than Michael Porter Jr. I don't really see the fit here, and I don't think it elevates the team in any way, shape, or form. And then the thing about it is Mike Dunleavy, the GM of the Warriors, came out and said, I don't want to just trade young players to be slightly above average. That's why he didn't make a move for Lauri Markkanen. And by acquiring Brandon Ingram, you trade away a young player in Moses Moody. You move off of a quality center in Kayvon Looney, and you lose a first-round draft pick. So he's just going to, backstep what he said. Brandon Ingram doesn't even get them slightly above average. I don't see the fit there. And I think they're giving up a player they shouldn't give up in Moses Moody. I think there's more value there. I like the guy. And I don't know why you want to bring in, again, one more thing, a player in Brandon Ingram that you have to pay for the next 4 years, 50 mil plus. Too much money. too much equity being moved off of in this acquisition, and they're not going to contend with Brandon Ingram. They're not even going to be slightly above average. This doesn't move the needle for me. And it could also even stunt the growth of Jonathan Kuminga. So all in all, horrible move. Why would the Warriors do this? The fourth move was Zach LaVine to the Clippers in exchange for Norman Powell and PJ Tucker. Honestly, love the move for both sides. Chicago can finally move off of Zach LaVine. The value isn't there, right? If we've seen any moves that have been spoken about this offseason, it's involved LaVine going in exchange for like D'Angelo Russell. There's no compensation in terms of draft picks ever mentioned. It's just a player for player swap. And in this move, they can get a quality player, Norman Powell, right? Somebody that they can have on a really good team-friendly contract, somebody that can contribute to this team, or even be moved off of for compensation, a first-round draft pick, honestly, maybe a first-round draft pick or a young player in exchange for Norman Powell. And they can fully hit the reset button. They can say, you know what? Let's just reset this team. We moved off DeMar, moving off of LaVine. Let's just start over and see what happens. Smart move for Chicago. For the Clippers, I love it. You move off of Norman Powell, who I think is a good player, like I mentioned, but at peak Zach LaVine is better than peak Norman Powell. The only reason why Norman Powell is better is because he's on a better contract and he's healthy. But if LaVine's healthy, he's way better than Norman Powell. And they can just finally embrace this idea that if we want to contend, we just need to be healthy. And that's how their roster shaped. They have an older James Harden. They have Kawhi Leonard, who's been out for numerous games dealing with his knee injury. Zach LaVine, same boat. Can't stay healthy. But if they all can stay healthy, then they can compete. And they're not giving up too much. Like I like Norman, but that's not a lot. You're not giving up anything. The only issues you might be giving up money for the salary cap. But at the end of the day, if you have a healthy Zach LaVine, a healthy James Harden, a healthy Kawhi Leonard, this team can be really, really explosive on offense. So might as well just go all in and embrace trying to get healthy. Why not? If they are, that's a contender. That is. And the last trade that was mentioned in this article was Coby White going to Detroit, and they mentioned a name like a Jaden Ivey going in exchange. Detroit fully embrace that, right? Get Coby White. That'd be lit. That would make so much sense. You got a point guard in there. You can pair him up with Cade Cunningham. He's just coming off a really good season. Coby White is. Pair him up. Jaden Ivey, I think, is just congestion the team because there's a bunch of players on that roster that can't shoot threes. Ivy, Asor Thompson. So you move off of somebody that doesn't fit well. You bring somebody in who's coming off a good season. He can run point guard. He's a true traditional point guard. I like it. But why in the world would you ever do this at Chicago? You have 2 more years of control under Coby White, right? He's a good player for this team. And their argument was, well, in 2 years, he's going to be due for a new contract. Maybe they're not good in 2 years. Well, just wait out this season. See what happens. Maybe their draft pick this year progresses really well. And then they get a Cooper Flag in the draft this year, right? And then they have Coby White. And it's worth paying Coby because then you have a good big three right there. Or even if you get Cooper Flag and Coby White maintains his ability of getting 20 plus points, that's two really good players on your roster. Why in the world would Chicago do this? It's one thing if he has 1 year left in this deal. It's a whole other story if he has two. And they do. They have 2 years on a really good contract where he's making like 12 mil a year. Keep Coby White around. He's amazing. And he was really exciting for Chicago. He brought excitement to the fan base. There's no need to move off of him. This would be a terrible trade for Chicago. Let me know your thoughts. Should these trades go through? Should they not go through? Who does it benefit? Who doesn't it benefit? Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe. Have a blessed day.